Have you never thought of making a business of it?
In what aspect?
Charging for it?
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're looking at TV presenters who have disappeared from public view for various reasons.
I definitely saw it as some kind of power play. The very act of what he said was aggressive.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Bill Grundy.
They are punk rockers. The new craze, they tell me.
He was a prestigious regional host on Thames Television for years, even covering elections and JFK's assassination in the 1960s. But his entire career ended in one fateful interview in December 1976, when he was asked to talk to the Sex Pistols.
You see, they are as drunk as I am. They are clean by comparison. They are a group called the Sex Pistols.
The Pistols were a last-minute replacement for Queen, who could certainly be relied on not to swear live on TV, and Grundy clearly had no patience for the group. He goaded them into misbehaving, but it was his own career that ended in tatters.
Are you worried, or are you just enjoying yourself?
Enjoying myself.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were doing.
Accused of being drunk on air, which he always denied, despite opening the interview by admitting to it, the show was cancelled and he largely vanished from broadcasting, other than the occasional odd job.
We'll meet afterwards, shall we?
You dirty son. You dirty old man.
Ed Mitchell.
You'd been a newsreader, a journalist for 35 years. But there was a point, wasn't there, Ed, where you were drinking even before leaving the house in the morning?
That's true, yes.
In 2007, a landmark story appeared that a former journalist and TV newsreader had been discovered sleeping on park benches around Hove. That journalist was Ed Mitchell, who worked for many prestigious outlets during his career in the 90s. It turned out that he'd fallen victim to alcoholism, as many do, and it had taken everything from him.
There are certain points where you think, hang on, this isn't going very well. The blackouts, the winding up in strange places.
He lost his job and wound up homeless, filing for bankruptcy and eventually making a documentary about it all for ITV.
The first stage is really wanting to get out of it, is the realisation that there is a problem.
He opened up about his struggles, went to rehab, and even wrote a book about the experience that helped him get back on his feet. Carol Thatcher. Another journalist, Carol Thatcher, the only daughter of Margaret Thatcher, caused a massive controversy by using racial slurs at the 2009 Australian Open.
A character so offensive to some, it was taken off Robinson's jam jars.
This was after a years-long television career in which she presented documentaries and made reports for The One Show. We won't repeat her comments, but she was being derisive about a black tennis player at the Open in the company of multiple witnesses.
Miss Thatcher said she stood by her original remarks.
All the BBC wanted from Thatcher to keep her on the payroll was an apology, but she didn't care. She said, and we quote, "I never meant it in a racist way," standing by her use of the slur as a way to colloquially describe someone's appearance.
Not because of this overworked term political correctness, but merely out of courtesy. Common humanity. I really was surprised by it.
Yeah. Sorry to shock you, Lord.
Dave Lee Travis.
The DJ was convicted of groping a woman who worked on the Mrs. Merton show in the 90s.
Like many other disgraced presenters, Dave Lee Travis was caught in the net of Operation U-Tree in 2012. Like many other former Radio Caroline DJs and Top of the Pops presenters, it turned out that Travis was a raging nonce, though it took a while for this to be proven in court.
According to the judge, the veteran DJ thought he could get away with the attack because of his celebrity status.
He'd already resigned from the BBC in the early 90s, but maintained a steady radio career with other broadcasters and sometimes turned up on various TV shows.
The former Radio 1 DJ Dave Lee Travis has been arrested.
He was charged with 14 offences, but ended up being found guilty of only one, and the sentence was suspended. Though he's tried to overturn that lone conviction, it's never washed, and his broadcasting career is, thankfully, over.
Tonight, the BBC was planning on running a 1977 episode of Top of the Pops, which featured Dave Lee Travis. They have decided tonight to pull that programme.
Zoe Salmon. Where's Zoe Salmon been lately? Who knows? Because she certainly hasn't been on TV for a long time.
It was Christmas 2004 when I jumped out of a box and into the best job in the world.
Her last TV appearance was in 2016 on Celebrity Island with Bear Grylls, and since then she's not appeared in the media and she's made hardly any social media posts. She did elope and now has a son, Fitz, and is in the middle of renovating her house back in Northern Ireland.
Look at the views, look at the sun hitting the water. Hey, Northern Ireland!
You may not know, however, that she's got a law degree and is a qualified solicitor, so she certainly has lots of options career-wise, far from the world of Blue Peter and other presenting gigs. But it'd still be nice to see her on telly again.
My 3.5 years as a Blue Peter presenter have given me hundreds of memorable moments. Happy moments, scary moments, phrasing moments. I couldn't leave without sharing the best of them with you.
Gino D'Acampo.
They described behaviour which they claim was unacceptable, distressing and horrendous. D'Acampo told ITV News he firmly denied the allegations.
Only in early 2025 did news reports accusing Gino of misconduct emerge, but it's already clearly had an effect on his career, since an entire filmed series of family fortunes from back in 2023 is now never going to be aired. Gino's maintained that he's going to fight the allegations, and that none of them were raised with him at the time, with some dating back decades, and all pertaining to inappropriate and crude behaviour on set.
Technically, I mean, although you are naked, you're not quite naked enough.
What do you mean naked?
Well, you're wearing an apron.
He's always been known for his larger-than-life persona as Britain's favourite Italian chef, but it seems that his broadcasting career may be over after decades on our screens.
That's not naked.
All right, I'll take it out. All right, I had a little...
Anthea Turner.
It's taken nearly 3 years to smile again.
It's a long road, divorce, isn't it?
Do you know? It is.
More Blue Peter. Anthea Turner still gets TV gigs from time to time, including competing on Celebrity SAS in 2020. But she's been off TV screens since 2022, and she blames the tabloid press for a lot of her career struggles. Journalists were rabid for Turner's personal life, desperate to report on all of her ill-fated relationships and 2 marriages, with OK even paying her a fortune to cover her second wedding in 2000.
And I'm a big one for this. I think a lot of women are. We love the torture chamber. What have I done wrong? It must be me.
Because of this coverage, Flakegate began, with Turner slammed for having Cadbury products in her wedding snaps. She believes that without all this interest, her career would have reached greater heights.
Does it make it harder if somebody has left you, that whole younger woman thing, again, when we're in our 50s?
Of course it does. You're looking in the mirror again like that.
Eamonn Holmes.
Every day is fakery, and, sometimes you can only judge people by their actions.
From being one of ITV's most popular daytime presenters to fronting GB News' weekly breakfast show, what happened to Eamonn Holmes? Whatever it was, it led to his dismissal from ITV, after saying he wanted to wait for more science to come on whether 5G signals can cause coronavirus.
But what I don't accept is mainstream media immediately slapping that down as not true when they don't know it's not true.
He appeared in various interviews with GB News before coming to work for them, in which he slammed ITV. And in 2024, it was announced that he and Ruth Langsford were separated and planning to divorce.
Just before we move on, I'd just like to thank people for your support for Ruth and I over the last few days as to the news of our separation.
He's still on GB News, but appearing on GB News makes you persona non grata for other outlets, so if he ever leaves, his career may be dead for good. Gregg Wallace.
One woman says he touched her bottom at an event, and another says he pressed his crotch against her while filming on a different show.
It was this massive scandal around Gregg Wallace in late 2024 that led to journalists setting their sights on other celebrity chefs, landing on Gino months later. Yes, Wallace isn't technically a chef, he's a greengrocer, but he exists in Britain's culinary world. He'd already been dropped from inside the factory after similar incidents, but in 2024, the dam burst.
These allegations have gone up a notch and become less about inappropriate banter and now allegations of inappropriate touching or groping.
It wasn't just anonymous crew members making complaints about him, but multiple female celebrities who worked alongside him on Celebrity MasterChef, not to mention his ghostwriter.
Now, in the newspaper, I can see the complaints coming from a handful of middle-class women of a certain age just from Celebrity MasterChef.
He was dropped from MasterChef, and episodes they'd already filmed will never air. Huw Edwards.
Huw Edwards was the BBC's highest paid newsreader, fronting first the 6 o'clock news and then the news at 10.
From being the BBC's top paid newsman to resigning in absolute disgrace, few have fallen farther than Huw Edwards. In 2023, there was a media frenzy about an unnamed BBC presenter who'd been accused of receiving lewd images from a minor. Edwards was ultimately named and he vanished from screens, resigning from the Beeb the following year after he was charged with making indecent images in a different incident.
But Huw Edwards hasn't been on our screens for a year, following reports in the Sun newspaper claiming he'd paid a young person for explicit images.
He pled guilty and was given a 6-month suspended sentence, which some think is too lenient.
The BBC is facing questions about why Huw Edwards, having been suspended, remained on a full salary and had a £40,000 pay rise.
There's absolutely no way he'll ever return to broadcasting. It may be impossible for him to get a job full stop, no matter how much he reforms, if at all. Angus Deayton.
Good evening and welcome to the show, and indeed anyone is that wants it.
After making his name in comedy, in 1990, Angus Deayton switched tracks by becoming the first main presenter for the comedy panel show Have I Got News For You. And for 12 years, it was a success for Deayton, bringing him many plaudits along the way. But in 2002, the defunct newspaper News of the World detailed Deayton's private life. He reportedly used illegal substances and the services of sex workers.
Angus was the best lover I've ever had, and you didn't pay her.
Deayton continued working on the show. However, further allegations of an affair while his partner was pregnant forced the BBC to drop him. While he went on to present Hell's Kitchen and briefly for Would I Lie to You, Deayton's presenting career hasn't recovered. Peter Rowell.
I have to say, first of all, that was the fastest cup of tea I've ever seen made.
It was quick, wasn't it?
For years, Peter Rowell was one of the most famous broadcasters in the west of England due to his work on ITV West Country. So much so that he was a marquee name for turning on Christmas lights in towns. In 2011, Rowell caused mass panic when he didn't show up for work at BBC Radio Bristol. He was found soon after. Then the truth came out as the handcuffs were slapped on him. Rowell had disappeared after the police raided his house and seized his computer. In 2012, Rowell admitted to 12 counts of assault on underage girls and 6 counts of owning obscene photos. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison.
Rowell pleaded guilty to 12 charges of indecent assault between 1989 and 1995.
Frank Bough.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I couldn't possibly afford that.
As one of the most legendary presenters in British history, Frank Bough has led beloved shows like Grandstand, Breakfast Time and Nationwide, as well as presenting for Football World Cups. Yet in 1988, his status was wrecked after the News of the World published this story. They detailed Bough had used illegal substances and attended explicit parties. This caused the BBC to fire him.
It was then a bit of a shock when he appeared on the front of the News of the World.
It got worse for Bough in 1992 when more reports came out of further incidents, ending his role as a rugby presenter for ITV. Bough did manage to find work again for travel shows and radio, but it was on a much smaller scale before he retired in 1998, ending his near 40-year tenure as a broadcaster. Tim Westwood.
When I took Armick's car to the garage, it was straight embarrassing.
After making his name as a popular radio DJ with stations like Capital FM and Radio 1, Tim Westwood was given the opportunity to front the US-adapted car show Pimp My Ride UK for its original run. When that ran its course, Westwood returned to radio and started his own YouTube channel that featured interviews and clips from famous musicians. But in 2020, the wheels began to fall off his career, with allegations Westwood behaved inappropriately with female fans, which he denied.
Now, if I try to get out of it, who's to say how he's going to react? So I just submit to it.
In 2022, the release of the documentary Tim Westwood, Abuse of Power explored the dark side of the DJ as more allegations came out. Westwood was forced to step down from Capital as the police investigation continued.
This afternoon stepped down from his weekly Saturday night radio slot on Capital Extra after allegations he abused his position in the music industry to exploit women who accuse him of predatory sexual behaviour.
Martin Bashir. After working on Panorama for years, Martin Bashir's career took off into the stratosphere when he secured the royal family's shattering interview with Princess Diana in 1995.
How aware were you of the significance of what had happened to you? After all, you'd become Princess of Wales, ultimately with a view to becoming Queen.
He further increased his celebrity in 2003 with shocking interviews with Michael Jackson. From there, Bashir went to the US to work before returning to the BBC in 2016. In 2021, he suddenly left the company, citing ill health. However, shortly after, the report that examined his 1995 interview with Diana was released. It showed Bashir had lied, spread smears, and created fake evidence to persuade the ostracised royal to speak to him on camera.
That BBC employees lied and used fake documents to obtain the interview with my mother.
While Bashir and the BBC apologised for the deceit, the backlash was massive. John Leslie.
What are you going to miss most about us?
Well, I think I said I'm going to miss you, actually, more than anything.
Bursting onto the TV scene as a host of Blue Peter in 1989, John Leslie soon picked up several high-profile gigs, especially in the late 90s with Wheel of Fortune and This Morning. It appeared that he would have a long, successful career, but then it fell apart in 2002.
As I was found innocent on all charges, I had hoped that the police would have been able to conduct their investigation in confidence.
After Ulrika Johnson released her autobiography, where she detailed the time she was assaulted, Matthew Wright named Leslie as the culprit on his show. While Wright later apologised that he got it wrong, further women came forward with allegations against Leslie. As such, he was fired from This Morning. In 2003, the charges were dropped. In 2017, Leslie was acquitted of another assault. Finally, in 2020, he was found not guilty in another trial. Stuart Hall.
I knew we were in for mayhem, and I just laughed myself silly.
That's him. Come on, Doug, I believe that you missed it.
On the surface, Stuart Hall was a beloved figure in the world of broadcasting. After all, on top of presenting popular shows like It's a Knockout and A Question of Sport, he also worked as a journalist and sports reporter. In 2012, Hall's 53-year career was over when serious allegations came out that he had assaulted children years ago. In 2013, he pleaded guilty to 14 charges against 13 victims.
Will you apologise on camera to your victim?
Excuse me. I have no comment to make at this stage.
No comment and no apology outside court.
He was stripped of his OBE as he received a 15-month sentence. This lenient punishment caused outrage as the case was taken to the Court of Appeals. They doubled Hall's original sentence to 30 months, and additional charges in 2014 added another 2.5 years. Hall was released in 2016. Phillip Schofield.
Wait for this, made my first appearance as a This Morning presenter in this very studio in 1998.
Nicknamed the Silver Fox, Phillip Schofield was all over ITV programming for years. On top of his main duties as This Morning host, he also worked on Dancing on Ice, The Cube, and the British Soap Awards. In 2020, Schofield announced he was gay and separated from his wife. In 2023, rumours began to swirl about the presenter and his deteriorating relationship with long-term co-host Holly Willoughby. Then, he suddenly left This Morning. Days later, Schofield admitted to an affair with an ITV employee. While he met the worker as a teenager, Schofield claimed the affair started when he reached 20. He lied to many people close to him, causing the destruction of several personal and professional relationships, forcing Schofield's resignation from ITV. Michael Barrymore.
And now,
Due to his presenting and comedy work on shows like Strike It Lucky, Kids Say the Funniest Things, and his self-titled show, Michael Barrymore was one of the most electrifying personalities in the UK. Yet while his career heightened, his personal life tumbled as addiction took over. In 2001, after hosting a party, Stuart Lubbock's body was found in Barrymore's swimming pool.
On Friday night, he'd been at the Millennium Club in Harlow with friends, but just hours later, 31-year-old Stuart Lubbock was found unconscious in Barrymore's swimming pool.
At the time of writing, nobody has been charged with Lubbock's murder. Barrymore's connections scared off TV companies from hiring him. He had a brief comeback with Celebrity Big Brother in 2006. However, that ended following his arrest and release in connection with Lubbock's case. Since then, Barrymore has made odd appearances and now focuses on his TikTok account. Rolf Harris.
I mean, we go back a long time. What was it, several weeks ago, wasn't it, when we first met?
If he wasn't releasing songs or painting Queen Elizabeth II's official portrait, Rolf Harris could be found presenting shows like Animal Hospital and Rolf's Cartoon Club. While born in Australia, Harris became a massive TV personality in the UK and was given several royal awards. Yet all that goodwill evaporated in 2013 when he was arrested as part of Operation U-Tree, which was investigating his historical abuse crimes.
He denies 12 charges of indecent assault dating between 1968 and 1986.
In 2014, Harris was found guilty on 12 counts and sentenced to 5 years and 9 months in jail. He was released in 2017. That same year, Harris was in court again on further charges. However, he was acquitted, while a later retrial failed to reach a verdict. Harris passed away in 2023. Which athletes who did their trade in the UK saw their careers have a dramatic downfall? Adrian Mutu, Mason Greenwood, Adam Johnson, Dwayne Chambers, Rufus McLean, or somebody else? Let us know below.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.